And your life.
Hey, Tom here, FlipAnythingUSA. So, as you guys know, on my blog, I share how I made my fortune in real estate, starting at 19 years old, millionaire by 28. That was a long time ago. I have a book, Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate, uh, bestseller on Kindle and Amazon. And basically, it's a $10 book or a $20 book, depending if you get it on Kindle or paperback. Uh, so, I'm testing the new studio, and those of you that are already in my mentorship class, you already have my cell phone, so you could actually text in. And I've got Trent with me this morning, and he can help. He can call you back if you're not if you're not in my program. That's okay. Just email me at tom@flipanythingusa.com, and we'll call you back.
That was yesterday.
Oh, is that Lou? Yeah?
It was yesterday.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Lou, if you're on here, you can call. Anybody want to call in, it doesn't matter. But if you don't already have my cell, I'm not going to put it out on here, but I will, we can call you back. Hey, Anne-Marie, glad you're here. But if, Anne-Marie, you have my cell phone, as do many of you I see already that are in the class, but you can call in. We can talk about anything. Ellie, awesome. I got you, Ellie. Ellie, you might want to go ahead and reply anyways, if you would. It will make it easier. Okay, but so I thought we'd just play around. We can go look at anything you guys want. We can talk about anything you want, real estate wise. Uh, Chris actually found me a nice property the other day, and I was going to give him a $5,000 referral fee on that, but. The reason, I don't know if we should do that, but it's all working pretty good.
Yeah.
Anyways, and there's a minor issue, probably not going to happen, but he is bird dogging for me, and it's awesome. And but it's really cool because we're going to share that on the Zoom class. By the way, we're going to have a Zoom class Saturday. So you guys know, I'll put the stream key up in the site where you guys can get into the Zoom meeting. All of you, the new members and the the previous members, the gold one we call them, and now the gold two. But Ellie, you're pursuing things, I assume, right? Is there any look, we can go anywhere. We can go watch another video if there's a video you guys want to look at. But I'm anxious to try out the call to make sure that we can understand each other well and people can understand you. So
I can't check the email, so you're going to have to check it on your phone.
Yeah. But so you can email, or like I said, if you text me, you can check text.
Check text.
We can do that. Let's see here. Oh. I got a lot of emails, but none of them are for a call. All right. All right. Well, anyways, so I want to talk, we can just talk about adventures in real estate right now because it's going to happen when I leave from here. A couple of things I've been looking at. I can show you some of the things that you got to look at and consider. Like I love industrial property. I love commercial property. I love offices. I like land, too. I like land that I can develop. I'm actually to the point right now, I think, and I've built several buildings and houses in my lifetime, and I've got a property I'm looking at right now that I may go ahead and let's see, that I may go ahead and buy, and I'm going to go ahead and build out. So that'd be interesting too. But in this one property, I'll tell you what some of the challenges that I have with it. Make sure that works. Smaller. I think you guys can see that pretty well. So, give you an example. I have a property near one of my other properties, and there's economies of scale when you can keep your properties near each other. Like I own 7 properties in one small division of 30 houses, and those are the half-acre size lots. I've sold a few of those since, but it was nice to have one landscaper come in and mow all those lots, and they're across the street from each other. So he doesn't have to have a premium charge in there for driving to each of these different places. Also, sometimes like a plumber will come to one property and I'll say, hey, while you're in the neighborhood, 2 doors down is another house I got. Let's take care of this too. And then they should not charge me a trip charge, and if they do, they're going to hear about it. Okay, but that's the economies of scale and in having your properties near each other. You know, you can save. And I mean, you can apply that term to a lot of things. But so, Alex, what's my criteria on land deals? That's a good question because that's kind of where I was going, anyways. So, look, let's just say I'm looking at industrial property. Okay. Start with industrial. Some industrial doesn't have very adequate parking. So I'm looking at parking. Now I don't expect to, with industrial, you don't have to anticipate having parking, you know, with industrial, I mean, I'd be okay with two per 1,000, 2 per 1,000 square feet, okay? Now, if it was commercial, I want double that. I want at least 4 per 1,000 square feet. Meaning, if I have a 10,000 square foot building, I got to have at least 40 parking spots, and which is also something that's interesting. You know, parking's precious, and I'll tell you why. If this is real important, and I've made this point in another video before. And if you guys just got here, I'm Tom. I've been making money since I was 19 years old in real estate, and I'm sharing it with folks. But we're talking about industrial property. Some of the things I look at for industrial, and these are all really important, okay? Minimum of 2 parking spots per foot. Also, sometimes it's good to look for nearby parking. Now, when I say nearby parking, if you guys know what a park and ride is, like it's where carpoolers meet, and then, you know, 4 of them meet there, then they get in one car, and then they drive for an hour or whatever. Sometimes it's nice to have that nearby because your people can go there and park in that parking lot and either walk to work or, you know, whatever. They can, 4 of them can meet and they can drive a mile away or whatever. It's just convenient anyways, and that's what it's for. That's what the service is for. That's tax dollars. That's what, you know, at least we get something out of some of these taxes we pay. But the other thing is, this is really, really important, and that's 3-phase, okay? If you don't know what 3-phase is, 3-phase electricity is pretty crucial, pretty crucial to a shop, okay? You look at how many amps of service, like if you're a machine shop, if you're a cabinet shop, you're probably going to have a lesser demand than a machine shop. But if you are, you know, if you're a mold injector, you're going to have a very high requirement on your electricity. But you're going to need 3-phase. And so what 3-phase is basically, you know, you've got, like, typically you got a 110 and a 110 and a 220. And these are different, we call them legs, right? And the reason is we have machines, okay, just say that's a milling machine, and it requires all 3 of those. That's the 3-phase, and it's also very efficient. I even actually have a home that I have 3-phase. It's very unusual to have 3-phase in the residential area, but I have 3-phase at my home, and so I have 3-phase air conditioners, which is wonderful. It actually, because it's more efficient, saves you electricity. But I'll kind of get to so it's important to somebody that would rent from you to have 3-phase electricity. So keep that in mind. That's a big plus. And then, of course, you want to know how many amps service. Okay. And again, you could have 3-phase electricity outside your door, but if you only have 400 amp service and you got a 10,000 square foot building, then that's probably going to be mostly inadequate for a lot of people. And I've had buildings like that where I find out what's the max they can give me based on what's on the pole, and I might bump, 400 up to 1,600 amps. Okay, that's because the question was, what do I look for in a property? It depends on the property. It depends on what it is. So in this case, industrial, make a note. Those are probably the most important things right there, other than actually buying it right. In fact, I'm looking at buying some acreage actually right now. And, I asked the agent, I said, is there three-phase? And he didn't even know. And then he asked me, he goes, well, how can you tell? And I explained to him, just like I explained to you. But here's another key way, that's important for you to know, and this is real important, and it's easy to figure out, is one of the ways you can identify three-phase is just go out and look at the telephone pole, right? So here's the telephone pole. Well, that's my telephone pole anyways. So those the big round canisters you see, right? Those are a phase. Each one of those represents a phase of electricity. And so when you see two of them, they're probably each 110. Okay? When you see three of them, now that's gold. Okay? That's great news because that's going to be your 220. So when you see a telephone pole with those, slips my mind what we refer to these things, all transformers, these transformers represent a leg of electricity. And so you got your three wires coming in, and basically they can go down to the building, right? And now you've got three-phase electricity. And then, the voltages vary anywhere from, 208 to 460. Canada has something, they use 360. I don't know. I bought some Canadian machines before. I've seen that before. So then again, parking, though, whether it's industrial or commercial, again, with commercial, super important stuff besides parking, okay? And depending on the kind of shops and centers you're going to have, in general, you're better to be on or for retail, like retail commercial, okay? Let me clarify this. You're better to be on kind of like the going home side of the road, okay? I call it the going home. In fact, I have a short video somewhere buried in all those videos I've made where I kind of show, look, this is the going home side of the road. And what you see is me going home, and I've got hundreds of cars in front of me and probably hundreds of cars behind me, and the lane coming the opposite way is vacant. There's hardly anybody driving on that side. It's because this represents all the traffic that accumulates, like freeway. Everybody gets busy, right? It gets busy near 5. It gets busy at 7 a.m. People are going to work and coming too. So on the going home side of the road, you have more time. Like if I was going to have a bar, a restaurant, you almost can't go wrong. A dry cleaner can go on either side, kind of, but the bottom line is, think about the things when you go to work that you might stop and do. You might get gas, a cup of coffee. So gas station's fine on the going to work side of the road. On the going home side of the road, you're going to pick up groceries. You're going to have a drink maybe. You're going to maybe pick up your dry cleaning. I think dry cleaning can go on both sides of that. But, if you're a breakfast cafe, you want to be on the going to work side of the road. Just common sense. But these are things that you should keep in mind. Let's see. Alex, okay, that's back to the land deals. Okay, so land is also, okay, so we covered some stuff with commercial and industrial, but location's always very important. But sometimes it's more important depending on the kind of business you're trying to, accompany or accommodate, I should say. What else? On land, land again, same thing. I mean, if it's an industrial piece of land, I'm going to be looking for that three-phase. I like frontage. If you get land, the more land you get, like if this is a road, okay, there's a road. I mean, if you can get a piece of land that kind of follows the road, yeah, like I missed a beautiful piece, still upset by it. It was 15 acres. Okay, acres. And the beauty of this property is that you could just cut it up like a piece of cake, and then these would all be individual lots I could sell that have paved frontage. There's no improvements to do. There's no roads to do. Where, on the other hand, if that was a 15 acres that was along a road like so, right, but it was like this, and it was 15 acres, well, I'm going to have to bring in streets, right? I'm going to have to bring in streets and do some sort of configuration like that to accommodate all the lots that I might have otherwise had, or maybe just do one. And it just depends on the size lot you want to make. I sold 50 acres. I made a lot of money. I made a couple $1 million on it, but I had 50 acres that I sold. And it was a beautiful thing, because on that 50 acres, and this is why I bought that 50 acres, by the way, so that 50 acres I had, the street was like here. Here's the street, right? And it was shaped like this, way up here. It was shaped like that, okay? This was basically, right here was 1.25 acres. I bought that later on. But this was 50 acres here. And it had a creek. It had a creek that ran through it, kind of like, how's that creek? It ran like that, actually. And this was 12, and this was 38. I mean, it was one parcel, 58 acres, but it had a creek run through it. Well, creeks, a lot of times people don't realize, but creeks are where they like to put the sewers, because the creek, that is the lowest point of a piece of land where all the water runs, okay? And then it diverts off. Well, a lot of times what they do is they go to that creek bed, right? Here's the creek bed, okay, and there's your water. Well, they go in and they dig it up. They dig it out like so, and they put a big old sewer main right down here, because it's the most logical place, because it's the lowest point of the land, and it flows. And then that's how you accommodate all the houses, okay? And that's what this had. I had this huge sewer at the bottom of this creek. And then that's one of the reasons I sold the property for so much. I sold it for 30 times what I paid for it, pretty much. And now I had and now it's it's just loaded, a subdivision full of houses everywhere, right? But utilities, same thing. You want to be able to improve it, so you need ideally you have sewer, water, electricity. Because that's what you need to develop. Okay, what else we got here? Oh, thanks, Alex. Hey, Risha. Okay, 54, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, 50 in the ashtray. Don't know what that means. Enlightened investments. Not sure what you mean by ashtray. I'll tell you what is funny on that 50 acres that I had. I took a couple of, I rented 2 bulldozers, and I actually rented an excavator, and I was just tearing it up, ripping out nasty cedar trees, which are like weeds of trees. And I had I think I had 12 enormous brush piles, okay? That's just a mass of trees, piled up. And this thing's, I'm telling you, at least 15 feet high, maybe higher, probably 40 feet wide, right? Anyways, some kids were playing with matches. They caused a fire. It caught my property on fire, but it was kind of a blessing. Fire department actually came out there and tore up some of my oak trees, which was disappointing, because I had 100-year-old oak trees on this, and they damaged some of them, and some of them they actually flat out killed. But it burned up all of those. They had a burn ban. I was not allowed to burn these brush piles. And these kids set the entire place on fire, and it burned all the brush piles down. So the bad thing was that I lost a couple oak trees, and some of that wasn't even because of the kids. It was because the fire department came in there with bulldozers, and they just pushed, beautiful trees over, unfortunately. But that's what happened. But it burned all those brush piles. That's the point I was going with that. All right, so look, anybody got any questions that you want to go on the phone? We can go on the phone. Anne Marie, somebody, Ellie, you know my phone numbers. Others, if you write Tom at FlipAnythingUSA, I can I can. We'll just give you a call back. There you go. Does that work or not?
What's that? Not on that screen.
Oh.
You can copy it from the other screen, but
All right, there you go. So you guys see, I'm playing with the studio. I'm getting more familiar with this stuff, so it's easier to do, especially if I come in at night and I happen to be by myself or something, which, like I say, I'm almost always by myself when you see me doing any kind of a podcast, if that's not obvious. What else we got? Let's see. Have not picked up your book yet. Well, what are you waiting for? You should get that. It's just peanuts. I mean, it's peanuts compared to. It's just a lot of information for very cheap. Do you ever get frustrated when you don't find any good deals? Yes. I got about 6 weeks worth of it right now, and that's what I'm talking about, Risha. I'm under the pressures of a 1031 right now. I've got cash that I need to put into a new investment. Otherwise, I'm going to be paying some heavy taxes. And where this vehicle called the 1031 allows you to defer those taxes, and that's what I want to do. And I'll find something, but it's getting a little tighter. It's getting a little closer than I like. No, the mentor groups are separate. Yeah, no, Joshua, you got a lot of people in here that are in my mentor group, but this is very similar to how I do run my class. But the class, I'm more concentrated on teaching very specifics on what I think are the most important ways to make money. And then, but the Q&A that, like these questions right now are leading me to share stuff that's very important. It's real important stuff. And I might even copy a piece of this and I might stick it, if there's some library, there's some stuff in the back end as a mentor, if you're in the mentorship program, you can get at. And, it's just being able to go back and watch a class twice or 3 times or whatever. Or we have things cataloged back there. So like if you, let's say you're concerned about a particular aspect of what we're doing, you can go back and rewatch that. Also, the Q&A is probably 2.5 times what the classroom time is, and that's where there's a bunch of good information to the credit of the students, because it really is a great, tight networking group in there because people get ideas from each other. And we have a forum back there that's growing as well. Let's see. Gabrielle. Tom, I've been watching your channel for a few weeks now. I'm curious to know where you buy your properties. Well, I will never tell you. Like what state and market, quite different now in terms of buying. Gabriel, do you have my book? Yeah, okay. Hey, Ellie, thanks. Thanks for popping in. Always appreciate you. Gabrielle, so look, part 2, okay, let me read Gabrielle's questions. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, it's putting a burden on the parents. I'm sorry. I say let them go back to school. Everybody's going to get it eventually. Just keep it to the capacity, and everybody gets sick. Get it over with. Okay, back to Gabrielle's question. Part 1. Hi, Tom. Been watching your channel for a few weeks now. I'm curious to know where you buy properties, like what state. I bought in Texas, Idaho, California, and some others, but those have been the 3 main ones. Part 2 of your question is, like especially industrial and land, when many businesses are struggling to stay open or have shut down temporarily or permanently, can you talk about what? Yeah, sure. I've seen a lot of stores close up, and I've actually seen people that were much stronger than I thought they were. I've got a handful of tenants that have had some troubles, and I've seen them hurt, and other people, they got the Band-Aid, they got a little of the PPP help that they needed, and that's helped them through times. But the restaurants are really struggling the worst. They really got it tough, and I just think I don't think it should be like it is. I mean, you can get on an airplane packed shoulder to shoulder, people in front of you, behind you, everywhere, but they're not letting you go on a restaurant and sit at separate tables. I mean, they're doing every other table. To me, it's silly. let's see, what else? And let me get back here. Joshua Hargard, are the mentor groups, okay, no, we already did that one. Yeah, I'm frustrated because I'm always looking for deals. What's frustrating is when you have a lot of money and you can't find a deal. And equally frustrating is finding a lot of deals and not having any money. But because then you got to split it with somebody, or you got to go borrow it. This Kingdom. Hey, Tom, in your book you mentioned carry the note quite often. Can you explain how that works? Sure, I can do that. Give me a second here. I found a $100,000 house in a $200,000 neighborhood. Was wondering if you wanted to buy it. No, it's not for me. But I would suggest if you're really accurate, tie that thing up, get it tied up, go put a deposit on it, get yourself 60 days to purchase it, and you'll find somebody. I mean, I have some people in the class that might be interested in that. But yeah, I'm not so desperate I'd go to Houston, to be honest. That would be a sign of going, listen, there's deals in every city, in every state, everywhere in the country. There's always deals. There's always deals. Don't ever think, all the deals are gone. That's ridiculous. People are dying, people are moving, things are changing all the time, everywhere, constantly. It's never going to end. It's never going to end until the whole world ends. There's always deals that open up, and then as long as people are dying and going out of business and divorcing, and those things are going to happen. Okay, so back to Kingdom, and I'll get back to you, Risha. Carrying a note. So carrying a note is simple. So let me put the iPad. Get the iPad back on here. Which one's the iPad over here? Right here. Main. Oh, Maine. Oh. Okay. All right. So look, real quick, I'm going to do this, and I know a lot of you already know this, but let's just take care of it.
You want to make it bigger?
No, I think it's okay. Can you guys see this drawing big enough? All right. Okay. So you got a property. We'll just call this a house. Okay. It could be a piece of land too. You buy it for whatever. You buy it for $100,000. You buy it for $100K. Okay, we'll just call it a piece of land. And maybe you paid cash for it, or maybe let me tell you what I've done so many times is I've bought a lot of small properties, and there's a lot of opportunity for owner carry in the land. But say I bought a property for $10K, and most of the houses are worth $20K. So I resell it, and I get my $10,000 back in my hand. And so when I resell it, I resell for $20,000. Okay, same property, sell it for $20K. But what happens is when I sell it, I take $10,000. I take $10,000 down. Okay, $10,000 down. And then I take $10,000 in the form of a note secured by a first deed of trust. And so what that means is carry the note, is it means the person I sold the property to now owes, or she owes $10,000, okay? And it's secured by a first trust deed. It's kind of like, I always like to relate it to cars because people understand cars. When you buy a car, if your bank helps you, then they're the beneficiary, right? They have a lien on your car. You own the car, but you don't own it outright. Well, it's the same with the piece of land. So when you sell it, you get your $10,000, and now your profit might be in the form of this $10,000, and you carry a first trust deed. Maybe you amortize it 10 years, and they pay you $100 a month for 10 years, or a shorter note. You can there's no rules. You can do whatever you want. You can make it as easy as you want for them. You can make it long, or you can make it short. And but I think that covers your question, right? You basically you're gonna allow somebody to owe you money. And likewise, when you buy, I mean, I bought a lot of property owner finance. I actually don't know anybody that's bought as much as I have. I bought so much owner finance because I was young and I had no option. I had no credit. I couldn't go to the bank for it. Also, a lot of banks aren't crazy about loaning money on land. I mean, my banks will loan me 75 cents on the dollar on land, but that's because I'm established and got good credit and long, I've been doing it a long time and have a record. But you don't need a bank. You don't need a bank. Own or carry. And that's what I would suggest a lot of you do, because it is one of the easiest things to do. All right, what else we got? Oh, I got to get back to Risha. Also, do you agree with Manny when he states you'd witness the effects of COVID real estate? Oh, I didn't hear him say that, but I would say I don't think it's going to take that long. I don't think it's going to take that long. We've already felt it. I mean, if you own a restaurant, or if you a restaurant owner or a restaurant property owner, you've already felt the effects. People are hurting and they can't pay their rent, or they could for a while with help, and then later they can't because they keep getting extended on the shutdown. So that happens. But I think what Manny's saying, and I've said this too, is I think we're in for a short recovery. I mean, I might as well just keep this iPad on. And I've talked about this before. It's how long. Typically things come along. Things are growing, and then they bust, and then things drop, and then they come down, and then they come back up, and then they recover, and then they kind of go back on that trend going up, say. Now, if it's a bubble, a financial bubble where everything was overbuilt and it bust, this can be really 3 to 6 years, okay? But that's not what happened. COVID happened, right? Oops, I shouldn't have said that. It's going to hurt me. So what I think is we're doing this. It's going to be a very shallow drop, okay? And then I think we're going to have a fast recovery. I mean, I'm already seeing it. The things got shook up, and it's already bouncing back quickly. It's kind of bouncing back quickly. Now, we're still in a Band-Aid, right? And I'll just call it aid, because a lot of people got aid. A lot of people have gotten money to survive it. Well, that's starting to wear off, okay? So how well they do after it wears off, that depends. We just had, the president just did an executive order and said, hey, 400 more a week, and, nobody's getting kicked out of their home. So that buys time for a lot of people. And that doesn't necessarily help the guy that wants to sell his property if he's got a tenant that can't pay rent. There's things like that come into play. So, and like if COVID turned out to be like a really horrible thing, and I don't think it's that bad, but if it turned out to be a really horrible thing where nobody could go back to school, then we're devastated. We're devastated. And I think people can go back to school, but that's the kind of thing. Basically, you just got to see what's going to happen. And that's kind of, I think, what Manny's saying. He's saying 12 to 18 months, and I think we'll be recovered by then. I do. I think we'll be recovered by then. But certain things, certain companies will be hurt, I'm sure. If you want to rent your home for $1,900 and your mortgage is $1,100, the new loan on the new property, take that $800 profit a month and add that to my monthly gross. Yes, they should. If you have $1,800 clear, profit on a rental, they consider that your income. They absolutely do. Believe me, I live on that kind of stuff, right? That's all I have is rental income primarily. What else? Okay, Risha. Who wants to call in? Does somebody want to call? Look, Risha, you got my phone number, right? I'm trying to test this phone system. Do you see anything in there?
No, I haven't.
can't even, I don't even know. Oh, well. I'll double check here. But
feel free to email us, name and phone number, and call on in.
Shit. Excuse me. I've got an agent that thought he was meeting me 45 minutes. Okay. I got to go in 10. Yep. See, I'm in a constant, listen, here's the difference. I don't spend my time doing YouTube videos all the time. I do them in between when I have time, and I rarely have time. And I got an agent that's pissed off, and I hope I didn't screw it up because it would not be good. I'm dying for property. So we'll skip the calls. But we'll do some calls tonight. I'm going to be back on at 7 p.m. tonight, and if you guys are welcome to join, and we can, you guys can ask anything you want. I'm happy to talk about deals that I've got tied up that can't get away, but I don't generally talk about the deals that I'm making on the spot because I don't want anything to screw it up. Like somebody, in fact, I was talking to Spencer Cornelia, or I should say I was going back and forth with him. He did a couple of videos, and I did reactions on his videos that he did of some gurus and such. Anyways, he did one on Manny as well. And what I was telling him, what I'd said in the video is you don't really want to share what you're doing with other investors in your area. And the reason you don't, you'll be more successful if you don't. You'll make more money if you don't. When you share, oh man, I made a great deal in this neighborhood. Everything's great. Guess what? That guy's antenna is going to go up, and he's going to go in there, and he's going to flush out some deals that could have been yours. So that's why loose lips sink ships, and that's why if you don't care, if you want to just share, if you just don't care, you don't care. But the idea is if you want to make money, you want to make profit on real estate. There's deals every day, everywhere. But guess what? There's not so many that you can share them with your friends. Once in a while, maybe. But that's what I would tell you about that. All right, guys. I have got an agent furious with me, so I got to go. And he's got something I want, and I gotta make him like me again, so I can get this thing. So I'm gonna call it quits right now. I'll maybe come back again even before 7 o'clock tonight. Just depends on where this takes me. So I'm gonna say good night for now, and right here.